Hello everyone and welcome back to our history session. We are doing the lesson Mughal Empire and today we will see part 4. Till now we have discussed who were the Mughals, who were their ancestors, the military campaigns, the six great Mughal emperors and finally we discussed the tradition of succession. Today we will focus more on the Mughal relations with other rulers, who were Mansabdars and Jagirdars. So let's proceed. To talk about the relations of the Mughals with other rulers, it was like there was a constant fight against different rulers and the Mughal rulers, and then the other rulers refused to accept the authority of the Mughals. And so the conflicts were going on continuously. But as the Mughals became powerful, even there were many other rulers who tried to join them voluntarily. So they accepted and they tried to be friend with them. The Sisodia Rajputs earlier refused to accept the Mughal authority for a long time. Once defeated, however, they were honorably treated by the Mughals and were given their land or the Watan back as an assignment. Watan Jagirs. The careful balance between defeating but not humiliating their opponents enabled the Mughals to extend their influence over many kings and chieftains. So, though there were a few rulers who did not accept their authority, the others voluntarily joined hands with them. Certain rulers who were defeated, for example, the Sisodia rulers who were defeated by the Mughal authorities, but even though they were defeated, the Mughals treated them with a lot of honor and respect. They were given their Watan Jagirs or the land and the assignment, that is to collect the revenue of that Watans, that is Watan Jagir. They could rule their own lands, but it was like the final authority would be the Mughal emperor. The Mughals would not interfere in whatever they were ruling in, but then some part of the revenue and all should be given to the treasury. So this was followed. They never ill treated the person or the ruler who was defeated. They tried to be friends with even the Rajputs by giving them their land back with lot of respect, but then it was maintained that the Mughals would be the ultimate power, whereas these rulers would rule as the subordinates, even though they are ruling in their lands. So now let's move further with the next part. Yes. One more thing here is like even some of the Rajputs, they tried to marry their daughters into the Mughal families in order to get higher positions in the kingdom or in the empire. So most of these Mughal rulers happened to marry the Rajput princess. It was also difficult to keep the balance all the time. When Aurangzeb insulted Shivaji Maharaj, it led to many wars with the Marathas. Many Rajputs also resisted the Mughals. So it was not every time that they could have a proper balance and proper relations with the defeated kingdoms as well. Sometimes there is even resulted into a huge war. Now talking about Mansabdars and Jagirdars. The word Mansab here refers to an individual who holds a position or a rank that was known as Mansab. It was a grading system used by the Mughals to fix the salary, rank, and military responsibilities. Rank and salary were determined by a numerical value which was known as Zat. The higher the Zat, the more prestigious was the noble's position in the court and the larger his salary. Now, the first thing as it was, these Mansabdars were the people who would help the kings or the emperors in the military support. So, as they would help more and more, they would provide more military support, their rank and salary would increase. So as the rank increased, the position in the court of that emperor would be higher. And yes, obviously the salary is higher when they support in a better way to the king. As their empire expanded over different regions, these Mughals started recruiting people from different areas. So, from a small team of only the Turkish nobles or the Turanis, they grew to include the Iranians, the Indian Muslims, Afghans, Rajputs, Marathas, and other groups, those who tried to join the Mughal services. And these people were given the titles of Mansabdars. So, these Mansabdars were basically the people who would help in the military support. The Mansabdar's responsibility in order to provide the military support was like to maintain a specified number of savar or cavalrymen. So they used to maintain different soldiers, that is the cavalrymen who could ride on horses during the wars and also get good quality of horses. Once these Mansabdars would include different people into the cavalryman group and get different horses from different people, they had to bring all these cavalrymen and horses to the empire or to the kingdom, we can say, in the court, where the cavalrymen would be reviewed. They would be tested whether they are true, whether they know the different techniques, and then got them registered that yes, these people can be taken for a war purpose or for the guarding situations. Then even when the horses were purchased by the Mansabdars, the horses were also brought to the court. The person in charge to keep a check on horses would check the quality of horse, and then the horses were branded. Now, what is branding here? Branding is making a mark with hot metal, especially on animals, to show the ownership. So, because this was practiced on animals in long back to identify whose animal it is, who is the owner of the animal, the word branding was came into existence. And so nowadays we have different brands coming up of the clothes, shoes, and so many things. But earlier, branding actually started with the animals, so as to identify whose animals are there grazing in the field and so on. Then cavalry here is the part of armed forces that fought on the horses. And one more we have is that is infantry, which is like the soldiers who fight on the foot. Now, the Mansabdars received their salaries as revenue assignments called Jagirs, which were somewhat like the Iktas. If you remember, in the last chapter, we have studied about Iktas and Iktidars. But unlike the Iktidars or Muktis, most Mansabdars did not actually reside in or administer their Jagirs. So now when the king or the emperor was happy with the work or with the support that the Mansabdar has given, the Mansabdar would get a part of land, and the collection of revenue was given to that Mansabdar, and that was known as Jagir. And because he was the person in charge to take care of that Jagir, he was known as the Jagirdar. So Mansabdar is a person who supported in the military support, and Jagirdars were the Mansabdars who received revenue assignments called Jagirs. Now, these Mansabdars did not actually reside in those places which were given to them, but they appointed certain servants to collect the revenue from that Jagirs. Once the revenue was collected, from that revenue they had to pay the salaries for the soldiers that they had included in their groups. So they would pay to the cavalrymen, they would pay some to the maintenance of the savars or the horses, while they themselves served in some other part of the country. In Akbar's reign, these jagirs were carefully assessed so that the revenue was roughly equal to the salary of the Mansabdar. So what happened? The salary was on the savars or the cavalrymen, and on top of that, he would be the in charge for the revenue collection, and that revenue would be given to the soldiers as salary. But during Akbar's reign, what happened? Akbar started carefully assessing each and every jagir, each and every land, and accordingly, he had set the revenues for those lands. So the revenue, whatever the Mansabdar is collecting, would be roughly equal to the salary. So the salary would be kept for himself, and this revenue could be utilized for the payments of the soldiers and maintenance of Savars. But by the time of Akbar's reign, this was no longer the case, and the actual revenue was often less than the granted sum. So whatever revenue they collected, it was sometimes less or more, and this was one of the reason for the decline of the Mughal Empire. The number of Mansabdars started increasing. So the salary paid to the Mansabdars would get distributed. So the salary was a bit less compared to what it was in the earlier emperor's reign. And so even the revenue collected was less because the Jagirs were divided among many Mansabdars. So certain Mansabdars started becoming very powerful, and they also started rebelling, revolting against the emperors. So we can say that because of the power increasing of the Mansabdars, the strength, the wealth, everything started growing up with the Mansabdars, and so it became the major cause of the decline for our Mughal Empire. There was a huge increase in Mansabdars. That is what I just told you all. And they had to wait for a long time till they receive any Jagir, or else then the Jagir which they received was a very small part of land. And then as a result, what happened? Many Jagirdars tried to extract as much as revenue as possible from the land. They knew that this Jagir would be conferred on me for a short span of period, and so whatever I could get, I should extract it. So the poor laborers, the poor peasants, they started suffering a lot, and Aurangzeb could not keep a control on this exploitation. And so, towards the end, a lot of Mansabdars started revolting because they were not getting enough of revenue as compared to the salaries. And then the poor farmers also started suffering and they could not pay the revenue. So, in turn, the treasury was also getting empty just by giving the salaries but not getting anything, or they were not able to pay the soldiers as well. So, during Akbar's reign, Akbar appointed a person who was the revenue minister known as Todarmal. So, what did Todarmal do? He actually had a careful survey of the crop yields in the areas under the Mughal Empire. He calculated the market price and what was the area actually cultivated. And after a 10 years survey, he came to a conclusion. So, based on whatever data he collected for the 10 years, a cash tax was fixed on crops. So, whatever crops that peasant is going to grow, he has to pay the cash on whatever yield he has. So, then each small state, the province, was divided into revenue circles. Accordingly, like if in a revenue circle there are huge farms, they can take 2 to 3 crops in a year. That would have different revenue system. If the lands are small and only one crop is being grown up, then again the revenue would differ. And then he also scheduled the revenue rates for each crop. So suppose only one crop, XYZ rate, two crops, then this would be the rate. And this system came to be known as ZABT, ZABT. It was natural that because India was a country totally dependent on agriculture, any Indian empire, any kingdom which is flourishing in India would get most of its money, most of the wealth, power from only and only agriculture. But then, even later, this exploitation drove Indians to rebellion. They started understanding the different ways of exploitation. Now, here one person says, we are of the same caste. Zamindars and peasants must become one and fight the Mughals. Now, these zamindars started telling the peasants also that we belong to the same caste, we belong to the same community. So, why can't we come together and start fighting against the Mughals for as they are collecting a lot of revenue from our end. So, such peasants' revolts challenged the stability of the empire. Right? So, towards the end of the 17th century, it so happened that because of the rebellion of the zamindars and the peasants, the empire started declining. So, in this particular session, we discussed about few important things. The first was increase in number of the Mansabdars, which was the major reason for the decline of the Mughal Empire. Then the revenue rates and the rebellion of the zamindars and peasants. So these were a few reasons to the decline of the Mughal Empire. So this is all from my side for today. I want you to go through the lesson, the topics that we have covered today, which is on page number 50, 51, and 52. Any doubts, any queries, do note it down. We will discuss it during our session. So till then, take care, bye, stay safe, stay healthy.